Before I start, I just say that I have a throat infection, but I'll do my best. Dúna Cásca Ríist, Ibran, agus an Airimach Lorvar, to be on. Leot off the nothing. Paramalay Marach, Arthur Carugan Heen, nor a has, on Piersach, agus a good comrade, the Mogard, the Pig, on Pushed, the Mala Clear. Agus a leaf shed on Poor Ogra, a Torliation Chinrul Erbal. Agus the Orga Shirt Search in the Heron, O Costa go Costa. Glan, O Reilachai Hasna, O Real Fazane, go Wincher in the Heron, go Hasni, Achsasni Vemi. As a Real to Shabain, go Patastunachai, I was go Hatilachai, Farakela. Palagan Parados, T-Ball Wolton, is Shakti Agnichas a Hawk. Barrier, Takepi Ershin. Marial, Curraoin Dina, agus Commissioned Source, or Realtas, a bit Kurta Vaim. Agus Sayam Skulchi, or Lashin, Gudin Lata Newborn. Agus is Bochtan Skele, Gul Mud Pos, for Real Hasna, is the Sheikh Honda, Erdua, Gairin. Capach Galore Dinta, a Branor Telepish, Gowil Sir Shagan. Capach, Narekins to Wachtron, Until Starch, as a Malamotion, Miol Dio Higgin, a Golser, a Carlo, the Bonry and Hasna, Exishis, Legend or Lay, August the Raw, go a Hullahort cart. Shobam Parkena, along the Hochtadi, Lord of the Ochtron, Vericar, Ronald Reagan, August, Niam Gurumor on Marcellus Shinehain, Barbisan and Torabiega, for Hashati Virga Vagra Thatcher, the Style Cotrish and Ija got the Hochtuzain. A Furganam Kena, for me all D, for Sha Brocco Chempor, he's a Shunnen. I was an Ishtasha was a Jachan Arish, Jachajowl, the Phoenix Park. Could you go Lucht, the Sheikh on their feet? Dan as a Malamosha, she's a Morcha. A Hushis, Agus when you wrote Kena, Dan a Rugu Sasna, who one was the Heron. Up to Bleagish, Agus Galway Shara. Pashat Shah, Patti Virhon, Agus a good start in the Yosef Lalo Clear, Hashi the Britoni. They wrote Kena, you're in the Michael D. Inchi Shawich, kept so real, cause a start broke a Lopusha. I was Inchi Shawich freshen. Get the Horlins, Donations to the age of Fitzpatrick, we're going to Machlan. I was my Geeker, well, I know it. In the road they were in the bank, and I was a wheel Hawkshire cheese there. A Honoris move, Path, Donations to the Conrad of He, a Lynn, a girl, Circle Windsor, I was go Westminster. I was a McCarthy Martin McGuinness. Is Ashtoch, I was as Bronach on Road. Dina, a Fred, I was a beast of Schleifte, a gear of Searsha Wanjamach. Go to push it on Target, go run to shit, I was go yell shit, and now I'm here. I was being tore on, doing best Carter, do shit, more manor, a clown hain, a deal of war. Big my shame, their mother's people, their own people that saw their mother. Quite true, friends, of the happenings today. And they want to brush everything on this Easter Monday morning or Sunday morning in under the carpet and say that everything is okay. Because what they're doing is degrading the men who gave their lives for Ireland in 1916. The men and women who struggled from 1798 on with T-Ball Wiltone and Henry Joy McCracken. And later, Robert Emmet took up the mantle of the United Irishmen to fought for the freedom of Ireland. Catholic, Protestant and dissenter, but to break the connection with England. The connection has never been more tightened than it has now. You could go on and go on and go on. But from 1798 onwards, there was a flame lit. And to me, when I see the older people that your chairman mentioned here today that has passed on and died, it's probably from that flame that inspired them. And it certainly inspired them in North America and Canada, the time of the great genocide hunger that was brought on us by the British, called the Great Famine of 1845-47 era, when all the grain and all the meat was shipped out of Ireland. And make no nothing about it, that's what happened. Just to get rid of the Irish people. When they couldn't defeat them that time, they went to starve them. But they'll never defeat us. Never, ever, ever will they ever defeat republicanism. Never will they defeat people who look for freedom. I see that there are people here today from different countries, and you are divided as well by the British, by the mighty empire that the sun never went down on. But as a friend of mine from Kerry once said to an Englishman when he was on about how they were abroad and they were left Aden in 1962 in Africa, you were thrown out of it, boy, he says. And they were. And they'd be thrown out of here too. They were in India, any part of the world, Asia, Australia, America. The Boston Tea Party that's still reenacted in America is when they spill the tea at sea every year. But when they had people like who stood up against them, like Gandhi in India, and like Irishmen who were convicts and brought to Australia and tried to break the rules there. And eventually England did leave, but they never left until they were made go. And the only thing they ever knew was when they were defeated through the barrel of a gun. And let's face it, I mentioned earlier about the president of the 26th county state when he went down to Shannon in mid-80s, I can't remember rightly if it was 84 or 5, when Ronald Reagan from America came here. And not that he was any great shakes either, because he sided with Margaret Thatcher and the British during the hunger strike. Yes, he went down to Shannon and he picketed it. But Reagan and his cronies pulled a fast one. They came across the bay up to Castle up in Mayo for dinner in 3 or 4 helicopters. Yes, he's above in the Phoenix Park today. And good luck to him. What about him? I don't care. I didn't put him in it, because I didn't vote for himself or his crooked state. But I will say one thing. When he blocked the road in Shannon, he got away with it scot-free. There's an old woman there down the road, a woman that was born in England, and she done something similar. 80 years of age, and she was thrown in jail below Limerick. And Michael D's wife went down to see her. Well, at the flick of her fingers, she could be released with the power that they have. She wasn't released. I don't watch the occasions that happens with our enemy in England. And I'm not blaming all the English people, don't get me wrong, that you're washed by the same dirty linen. You're not. Or are you tarred with a warm brush? But your government is the cause that we are divided. It's your government that divided the 5 continents of the world. It's your government that still holds the 6 northeastern counties. And we as Republican Sinn Féin are here today as the standard bearers of the people who gave their lives from 1798, probably the first rising, right through to 16. I remember one time being at a funeral in Spittle, and there was an old priest buried, and on the 4 corners of his gravestone there was 1798, 1867 for the Fenians, 1916 16 for the Easter Rising, and 1920 for the Black and Tan War. What a faithful priest. And he'd ordered to leave that when he died on his grave. But lads, the most galling thing of all is when we have comrades who were with us and who broke away and joined the establishment of power and of greed and of money and sold the principles of the Irish Republic, who went and took their seats in Leinster House, who went and took their seats in Stormont, and probably the next time round, Westminster. I'll be very frank about it. I'll be telling them not to be codding themselves, and not to be trying to cod the people, because you can't. You can't ride two horses. You cannot be in two organisations. You're either a Republican, or you've joined the British Crown, or you've joined the Free State Forces. One or the other. And I'm talking about Martin McGuinness, who I believe sat down at a long table. I didn't see it because I wouldn't watch them. Because I know well, as a veteran, I know well what to expect. Because such things came from all those splits. But sat down with the Queen of England, and our country still occupied by that same English crown beyond in Windsor Castle. Is it hard to believe, or is it not? Are we right, or are we wrong? Is people listening, or they not? Yet they have the gall to come to places like this on Easter Sunday and Easter Monday and pretend to be Republicans. Now, I know some people involved with these, and they're great people. There's great people who split in 1922 with Commonwealth Ale, who later and today is Féin again. There are some great ordinary people on the ground. There's some great people from Féin Fall on the ground who supported this organisation on the quiet down through the years. And without them, we would not have survived. But I call on the leadership of these movements, if you call them movements, to disband and drop the name of Sinn Féin, because you are not Sinn Féin anymore. You're only bringing sacrilege on that honourable name. And I will say, for Féin Fall and Fine Gael, when they did go into Leinster House, they did drop the name. I will give them that much. They didn't pretend to be running with the hare and the hounds, but they did drop the name. The Architecture, more on Ella Ram Harja, or Féchas a Horshweeb, agus Shasasuas, her son na Poblachta, Shasasuas, her son our Narachi, agus our Nefachi, the Sheikh Humbe, a Topaki, we love a Hasna. Agus Gamai Sasle me as a Cheershaw, Nivay and Sheikh Hongabra. You can have all your peace processes in the world. You can have all your grouse and haggis dinners in the world. But I tell you what, if you don't have the freedom of your country, you have nothing. And if you don't have principles, you have nothing. And we may be small in numbers, we may be a few, but we have principles, and we'll stand by the principles of which Connolly and Tone and Pearce and many more died.